Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We back. We are. It's been a while.
It has. I went away to undisclosed location where they really don't respect the mask. But now
Yeah.
I'm back in the place where I take my mask off for 5 seconds and people look at me. I'm,
Yes.
I'm home.
Yes. You might get your ass whooped.
Yeah, I look and see, and it's not even by people my age, but it's mostly older people because they will be affected more than anybody.
Yes. You are in a place now where people is just looking at you like I'm not about to die for you, and that's comforting.
Please don't.
That's comforting. I contend that's people not wanting to die for you is comforting. But anyway, we are back. I don't know what episode this is. You know, I never know anyway, and it's been so long. I'm definitely not. Uh
20. It doesn't even feel like 20, but we at 20.
oh yeah. But I figure we start this off with a laugh. You ready? There has
We
been a
always gotta laugh, but go ahead.
there's a wrestler name change. Matt Riddle will now just be called Riddle.
Or never
I I contend that the fact that they have changed his name is clear that he is just a jobber now. Because think about it,
That is good.
every time they change someone's name from two names to one, that means you were a jobber. Think about it. Kevin Owens, they haven't changed it to just Owens. Seth Rollins, they haven't changed it to just Rollins. Roman Reigns, they haven't just changed it to Roman. Kofi Kingston hasn't been changed to just Kofi. But Cesaro, he's just Cesaro. Buddy Murphy, just Murphy. What was it? Andrade's Almas is now just Andrade. That is the clear indication that WWE don't think much of you, man.
I wish they wouldn't think so much of this goddamn program with this 19-year-old girl and Buddy Murphy. When the draft happened, I said, okay, this works, even though they shouldn't have this whole separate brand thing because it makes no sense, especially right now. But when that happened, I saw Rey Mysterio, I saw Dominic, and I said, oh shit, here we go again. No, when I saw Seth get drafted first, I was like, all right, cool, bet. Then when I saw them too, I said, oh shit, here we go again.
Yeah.
Just bury this, please.
I appreciate Rey Mysterio for being Keenan Ivory Wayne's though and putting the whole family on. That I can get behind. You're gonna see a Mysterio here forever.
Why?
I don't know. But now we got Bianca Belair. We watching SmackDown while it's happening. So let's get into the first story. Um WWE wants to take they basically want they independent contractors to be in these 360 deals. That's the best way I can say that.
So you saying WWE is now E1, aka Koch Records?
Yes. Like, and what I mean by that is everybody's Twitch accounts, Discords, cameos, any little streaming thing they had, podcasts, they are now all under the WWE umbrella. Like you've seen Swerve City is also under there now.
Yeah, I saw that. You know what? And
What?
it's basically what happened. It was like I had a feeling something might happen to the show. I thought they was actually going to can it. Like, dude, you doing 205 live, all shows you doing, and not dissing him at all. Like I said, but it's like you doing 205 live, you can't have a show. Like, bro, people don't really know me like that. But instead, they was like, bring it to WWE Network, and I think this is what happened because it's weird. Swerve City does not have a lot of subscribers. I hate when shows a lot of views but not subscribers. And
Yeah.
then, but like every guest from Bailey to Shotzi, etc. Mostly the women, but
Yeah.
I understand. When it's them, it's tons of. I think the one with Shotzi is like 61,000 views, and I'm like, that's fire. But then they announced, how many weeks ago when they said, okay, they put it on WWE Network, I said, all right, man, y'all slick as hell for that, bro. I just said, what's the splits? Are they giving him a Spotify deal like they did Joe Budden or what?
Well, the thing I also saw is like this. Let's be real. WWE was cool with it until they saw the bags people was making. Like AJ Styles was making a bag over there. Paige was making a bag over there. Aleister Black and Zelina Vega was making a bag over there. When they saw how much money people was making on Twitch deals, WWE thought, well, maybe we can just make a big deal and spread that out. Like the Birdman and Suge Knight came out in Vince McMahon real quick. Once he saw that money, he was like, yeah, no. We'll run this. You gonna deal with us. And
Right.
and that, to be fair, I don't know how their contracts work, but I don't think that was probably in their contract. And that's why Paige is out here like, you know what? I might end up quitting. Cause yo, man, this is some bullshit. It's one thing if I gotta use the name and promote WWE products and I gotta, carry myself to a certain standard. But the stuff I do for fun, now y'all taking some bread away from me because y'all wasn't up on game. Hey man, Paige out here about to be the no name of WWE.
And
She about
we've heard from various people. Sorry to cut you off. We heard from various people. They was like, "Why don't you just use your government name to do that or cameos?" It's something. If you think that's gonna work on Vincent Kennedy McMahon and the way he does contracts, boy, y'all really don't know who this guy is.
the other thing is, look, man, you can do that. Let me ask you something. What's Aleister Black's real name?
Alistair White.
Exactly. You don't know what the fuck his name is. All you don't know who Zelina Vega's real name is. You don't know Paige's real. You might know Paige's name because of the fighting with my family thing. Y'all know AJ Styles' name. So if you just see their regular name on there, you just gonna bypass it. Like, who the hell Twitch is this?
That's true. You would have to even on the font. You would have to have your name. You got to have AJ Styles on there. Then you can't do that as well because WWE. Well, obviously AJ Styles is owned by WWE, but it's other names that are actually owned by it.
Yeah. And this is why WWE makes people a lot of times use a name that they picked. Because if you like, let's say Daniel Bryan used this. Well, technically they can take Daniel Bryan's name because that's not his real name. But like, let's say someone back in the day, like I don't know, Barry Horowitz or Bret Hart. That's Bret Hart. Bret Hart is his real name. You can't license Bret Hart.
No, and then if you charge him, he gonna give us a goddamn soliloquy about why you can't like me.
Yeah.
That's my goddamn name.
Well, yeah,
name.
it's federal. Like you can't license someone's government name. If that was the case, don't you think someone would have done that to LeBron James or Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or something like that?
But John Cena is actually John Cena's name. That's licensed.
That can't be licensed.
I promise you. He said on of all people, I got to quote Howard Stern interview, but he said it on a Howard Stern interview. I want to believe in 04 or 05 that the name John Cena, which is his government name, his middle name is Felix. Don't ask me why I know that. I just looked at Wikipedia a couple months ago. His name is John Felix Cena, Alexander or some shit like that. But I think his last name is definitely Cena, and it is owned by WWE. Promise you.
I guarantee you this. Once that contract run out, WWE don't own it no more.
Brother, that contract is never running out. It's John Cena.
He might not need it in a little bit.
He'll never be on a Legends deal. He'll never be on a Legends deal as well.
Yeah, you notice The Rock? They still call him The Rock, but it's Dwayne Johnson when you go to the movie theaters.
He the Rock forever.
He The Rock for us, but like people like The Rock has done a great job of just like saying like when you see Dwayne Johnson, okay, The Rock is in this. If you see, Mark Calloway, you're not gonna know right away. Oh, okay, this is the Undertaker. You're just not
Right.
gonna know. You're not gonna make that connection. Like John Cena will be good forever because that's his name. So he may have like licensed some of his like the rights to certain things and licensed his name out to them, but they don't have the rights to it. They may just have licensing properties within a certain way. But the only person like he can probably sell his own stuff with his name on it. Because how they gonna stop you? But anyways, moving on to the next topic. We've been going a while. We missed most of this month or all of this month. And this month was two important milestones. Both AEW and NXT hit their 1-year anniversary as televised shows. Of course, AEW is just over a year old. It's about a year and a half old now. And NXT is nearly a decade old. And I figure we do like a quick rundown of like, some good and bad of both. Now, we'll start with NXT.
Let's do AEW first.
You want to do AEW first?
You go ahead, AEW first.
Okay. So you're gonna find that my feeling about AEW and NXT's first year, there might be some overlap here. But my feelings on AEW's first year, it was solid. It was solid. There was a lot of things that I think they did well. I think they did keep their audience entertained with those long form storytelling things, and they kept it in a way where it made sense. Because a lot of times WWE just like sometimes they'll give it to you every week, and that can make it run its course in certain ways with WWE. Whereas AEW, they would give it to you one week, and then next week you may not see anything about it, which allowed to give them some time and really figure some things out. Clearly the number one thing they've done well is tag team wrestling.
Yep. Tag team division is great.
Tag team division is very, very strong. One thing I do appreciate that they do is they do heel versus heel, which is not a common thing that happens, at least on American wrestling television.
Mm-hmm.
Like you will see two heels duke it out, and I think that's refreshing. Because a lot of times you just like sometimes in other programs, you'll see just face versus heel, which makes it like Justice League versus Legion of Doom type of thing. And the only time you get the heels fighting the heels is if it's a multi-man match. And, sometimes, like I said, it's refreshing to see heel versus heel. What else did they do well? They weren't afraid to have fun. And they weren't afraid to be goofy. That is one thing I will give them, because my views on wrestling is inherently silly.
Mm-hmm.
So why not be inherently silly? If you're just going to have serious I can beat you promo, and match, and just always like these serious, intense things, I don't need that. Like, they got Orange Cassidy over to feel like a real star. And that dude is a goofball. Like, had he been in any other company, he'd be Yano or R-Truth. He would not be a legit title contender.
Let me ask you a question. You think the Flair Orange Cassidy has won the way? They burned it out. It's the same way, and I'll bring it to the Fiend. It's the same way I feel about the Fiend. Like, can we just do this every now and then because it's an attraction?
No, I don't think they've killed it with Orange Cassidy because they haven't seeked to like make it the primary thing. in the way that they made the Fiend the primary thing at times. They're like so focused around that. So that's why I think there's still a lot you can do with Orange Cassidy at this moment. I still think there's a lot you can do with the Fiend. I just think you need some time to let him like figure out his character again. Whereas Orange Cassidy, you know, he had that beef with Jericho, and I mean, Jericho spent his whole summer making Orange Cassidy look like a legit star, and succeeded. Um, you know, hopefully he's going to do that same thing with MJF now. But the other thing I will say they've done is they do try and put forth a quality wrestling match every week, to a fault. Sometimes not every match needs to be that, but we'll get to that. And so I guess we can move to the cons now. So the biggest and clearest con right off the back is what's up with your women's division? Because, hey man, the champion barely gets TV time. Like if the champion is barely getting TV time, and people who are barely ranked like Sean Spears or, you know, freaking QT Marshall are getting TV time, Sheeta and Nyla Rose and Britt Baker and Big Swole are all better than those dudes. So you need to get those ladies more time. Another big thing is, and I'll say this with a grain, I'll take this with a caveat because of what happened this year, is the idea of making new stars. Now, I do think they were on the way to do that, and I do think they've taken some time to make certain people feel important. They haven't done as much as they said they would, and part of that is because pandemic, so all you have is TV, and you need recognizable names to be on TV to get ratings. I don't fault that. I understand. Every company is doing that now. Look at who's the champion in every company. It is someone who that wrestling community is familiar with and has been familiar with for years. Matter of fact, go look at almost every champion. And I guarantee you, for the most part, outside of maybe a few tag team champions or like a women's champion, the champion is someone whose name you recognize or a face you recognize without even just looking. If you've been watching that program for a few years, you know, okay, you see that face, you're like, oh, okay, I've seen them on the show before. You know, I do think some of the storytelling goes on too long. I know I praise the long form storytelling, but not everything needs to be long form storytelling. And we can get into a lot more intricacies, but I think we do that week to week with AEW. So I think those are my big things with them. Is the good things are good tag team division, solid matches every week, and the attempt at having fun, even if sometimes it doesn't work. The negative parts are got to make more stars, got to do more things with the women's division, and certain stories can be wrapped up quicker. That's it. You got anything?
I think they okay, job.
Okay.
I'm trying.
No, if you don't have anything nice to say, just say, look, man, I didn't like the first year. That's fair.
No, I always want to go hard. Okay, let me do this. Let me not do that. All right. Let me do this instead of that. You can get with this, you get with that. All right, here we go. So the women's division. That shit don't basically exist. Why? Have no idea. All right. We get a women's match every once in a blue moon. I guess they trying to appease their fans by not having women's workers. I could, more than likely, but I'll leave that alone. Other than that, I like the fact that they first year they did have fun. They tried different things. They put a lot of underground talent on. I was adamant for the first year and counting that they should have more workers working for them. It's TV dollars coming in as of now. That's being funded by Bakan, who owns not the the reggae singer, but father,
Yeah.
Tony Khan, whatever his name is, still. So it went from he's funding that from many of the things that he owns, which is fine. I can't knock the hustle. I feel like they should have more talent because once again, it's a lot of workers. I guess they're fine with being with the ROHs, the MLWs. I feel like I'm missing some more. I don't want to count New Japan because if you New Japan, you kind of stay there because they treat you well, even though you're going to get about 1,000 bumps on your neck. Shouts out to Ibushi because, god damn, I don't know why you keep doing that. We could talk about that later if you want. But, I mean, the first couple of months, it was great. I'm sorry, I got thrown off a little bit. I really want this shit to end. I really want this shit to end with Rey Mysterio, Dominic, Aaliyah. Angie need to start showing up more, with all due respect. Okay, so they just have to get more people. But then it's the thing. They got Brian Cage, who I thought was going to be the champion. They end up giving him a fucking Budweiser title / Chuck E. Cheese title / WWF No Mercy Creative Belt title.
Yeah, it's a participation trophy. We can be honest about that.
Why is a 19-year-old? Bro, I'm really I got to turn this shit off. This is a 19-year-old kissing a 30-some-year-old man. They wilding right now.
Hey, man. It's Vince McMahon.
They're bugging. This ain't going to get you no rating, especially right now. Okay, but going back to that, so Brian Cage, I've said before, I'm a fan of him. Big dude that could work like a motherfucker. Pretty agile too, and he only. The funny thing is he doesn't work like a big man per se. Like this dude really, I don't know what type of style that is, but to be as swole as he is, he's swole as hell. To be doing all that is pretty good. It's not like with front flips and all that. He's not dodging COVID, but still, that he can do what he's doing, and he could barely move his arms. It's crazy. So, but he's on AEW Dark. All right, it seems to be all the great talent are on AEW Dark, which is a YouTube show and not the main card. And that's where I get confused at. It's like, okay, now we pushing Kenny Omega. Okay, so him putting others over really didn't help the others because now it's just like, all right, you go to AEW Dark. But it's the same thing I felt about WWE. You put somebody over and it's kind of like, all right, that's kind of it. And that's just the wrestling business as a whole anyway to begin with. It's kind of, it's always your turn and that's fine. But it's like you start burying people, which I'm not saying AEW does. They're not burying anybody. I'm like, okay, once you're done, we have nothing else for you. And maybe it's just because the state of the world right now, because realistically, they're not supposed to, not even realistically, it's fucking common sense right now how this pandemic is going and it's growing and it's never going to end. It's going and it's growing and it's not going to end anytime soon. According to Dr. Fauci, that you should, and we've told when this first thing happened, even though we don't have all the common knowledge of how this shit works, at least put a mask on. At least be indoors. Sanitize everything. They are doing shows at Papa Khan's Stadium in Jacksonville. Outdoors. And this is the airborne teams, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, get it how you live it. Florida people are hard-hitting. We'll talk about that later on with the WWE and how the CDC is like, yo, y'all got to relax. But, not to be long-winded, it's just pretty good. Let's see how, the next couple years goes. It's now because now the stakes are hard because how the economy is, nobody's bringing in any money except for WWE because they're not spending any money. They made their biggest quarterly year ever because they're not touring. They don't have to use all the effects. I don't know how the money is going to be in the next quarter because they definitely had to put some money into the Amway Center, but I'm pretty sure it's not going to be a huge hit because they're not traveling.
No.
But
also, you brought up one good point. I remember everyone was saying AEW needs big man and AEW needs big man. So what did they do? They went out and got Wardlow, who works as a big man. You got Lance Archer, Brian Cage, and Will Hobbs. All three really talented dudes. Also, three really athletic dudes. So now people are mad. Why is Lance Archer doing moonsaults? Why is Will Hobbs doing the frog splash? Hey
Right.
man, I told a homie this at the job who was curious about where the state of wrestling is today, and I was like, look, man, wrestling is becoming more diverse due to the fact that athleticism is becoming the priority in talent. So if you want to be a good wrestler and you want to work around the world, not only do you have to be a good worker and know the technical stuff, you have to be athletic.
Right. Absolutely.
So even the big dudes have to be athletic. Even the white dudes have to be athletic. The big white dudes have to be athletic. Like, look at Strowman. Strowman had to drop almost 100 pounds. When he started, if he started at the weight he was then, he would not be in the industry right now.
Right.
Bad Luck Fale had to drop like 100 pounds because you have to be able to move and run a little bit. People want to see a bit more. They want to be able to see a varying pace match. So sometimes they want to be able to see you run or move or get out of the way quickly.
Right.
Not that the giant match is dead. The giant match is dead. It's just it's altered. But no, I think you raised some very valid points with AEW. And I think, even if you love it, you can't really argue against anything we've said. I mean, you can, but it's not really, there's not much of an argument. But now we can move on to NXT. You can start with NXT. I started with AEW. You can start with NXT.
Oh man, shit. Since they've been on TV, it has not been as well as it was on NXT Network, which is weird because you're getting it back from USA, even though you've been getting back from them for about 20 some years.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody else got called up. You got the Undisputed Era holding it down. You got other workers I truly do not give a fuck about, other than Undisputed Era, the women's workers. Yeah, that's it. I don't really. I'm fucking don't want to see Pat McAfee anymore. I don't want to see a field goal kicker anymore, even though he had that match with Cole. That was cool. The build up was better. Yeah. Other than that, NXT it's been hey, I'm not gonna bury it and say it's just been trash. I'm never one of those people that's gonna say it's just trash. But damn, it hasn't been that entertaining. Maybe it's because most people got called up, even though they kind of fall back on the call ups, thank God. It ain't hitting the same. The guy that we thought was gonna be the star, he became a nasty. A lot of people got outed this year. He became a nasty man. He could have been the face of NXT. So it's kind of like, yeah, right now they on cruise control.
Yeah, no, that's all fair points. I think I know why, and this isn't just something I noticed. This is also something that's been brought up. Shout out to What Culture Wrestling by Adam Cleary, who does the ups and downs for What Culture NXT. And the thing he noticed is the same thing I noticed. Once they got to TV, the idea of making new stars was an afterthought.
Yep.
Like, let's just be completely honest. The idea of making new stars at that point was completely an afterthought. Because, and you know how I know this? So Karrion Kross was the guy they were building to be the next star, and he was gonna be that. Like, he was clearly just the next guy. Like, that guy had it all. And then he gets hurt. So they have to do an NXT Fatal 4-Way Iron Man title match between Adam Cole, Finn Balor, Tommaso Ciampa, and Johnny Gargano. And Finn Balor had gotten some decent wins, but he hadn't had a big win. Johnny Gargano was losing matches all the time. Tommaso Ciampa was barely on TV. Adam Cole had just lost the title. And I say all that to say the reason they had to pick those guys and they couldn't pick a wild card like a Cameron Grimes or a Damian Priest or a Kushida is because they haven't done a good job of getting them over with the audience. Like, they'll try every so often. Like, I remember early on, one of the main events was Walter versus Kushida, and that was a great match. But I don't know if it got the ratings the way they wanted to, so they just moved away from Kushida for a while. They tried it recently with Damian Priest versus Dexter Lumis for the NXT North American title on TV, and it didn't really work as well as they thought it would. And then a couple weeks later, Johnny Gargano wins the title for the second time. So your champions now are like, I'll give it, the tag team division is only Lorcan and Danny Burch. But to be fair, there's really no tag team division there
at all. And that's the consensus with WWE in general.
Yes, like the same way the women's tag team titles are should be how the WWE tag team titles are. You should have to go through all three brands. I'll say this though. Look at the champions, like both AEW and NXT, they've done the same thing, which is the pandemic hit, we got to get ratings. And even before that was all about ratings, so you have to put recognizable faces on there. So, who's the champion in AEW? Jon Moxley, a name used, a face you recognize. Who's the TNT championship? Cody Rhodes, a face you recognize. Who were the last two tag team titles? It was Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, two faces you recognize, and now it's FTR, two faces you recognize. Now, in NXT, like I said, only Lurkin and Danny Burch. You've seen them, but when you couple them with Pat McAfee, okay, that's a face we recognize. Plus these two guys who we've known for a while, and they finally won the title. Fair.
Right.
The women's champion is Io Shirai, someone who has been killing it for the past, since she's been there? Recognizable face. Got put over heavily when she had that match with Charlotte and Rhea Ripley. So fair. The NXT champion is Finn Balor. Who does not know who Finn Balor is? The man is the creator of Bullet Club.
Right.
He's debatably the most loved wrestler in all of the world.
Right.
The NXT North American champion is Johnny Gargano, whose name is Mr. NXT. He's their Shawn Michaels. These are all names that people know and are familiar with if you watch NXT. And these are all people that the announcers can speak in great detail about to get them over with the audience. You can't really do that with Jungle Boy. You can't really do that with Damian Priest just yet. You can't really do that with a Dexter Lumis or a Cameron Grimes. You can't do that with a Kushida to a degree. You can't do that with Isaiah Swerve Scott. You can't do that with Bronson Reed. So that's where AEW and NXT have done a similar thing, is they have not gone out of their way to make new stars as much as they said they would, because now ratings matter. It's all about beating the other person. AEW is over here desperate to remind you that they beat WWE and NXT every week. NXT is over here desperately trying to get on their level when it comes to ratings. And because of that, the burgeoning talent that's supposed to be coming through there to go to the main roster is not happening as fast as it used to. Now, what are some good things about NXT? Look, man, can you go through 1 week of NXT and not see a match that you really thought was like, how often did you watch NXT in the past year and thought, hey, there was no good match this week?
I ain't gonna hold you. This year, it's a record for me since I've been watching NXT since it's been out. Like, bro, I really don't be tapping in like that. Like, I watched Wednesday. Did I watch Wednesday?
You watch
I did. Yeah, but I fell asleep because I was just exhausted. But for the most part, like, I don't really tap in. Like, I might watch it the next day because usually this is the first time in a while I've actually watched a SmackDown live, and because we have no sports whatsoever. So, and I got time because we record. Other than that, it's like usually I watch like the next day. I ain't gonna hold you with NXT. It's like, all right, I might watch it, but for the most part, I haven't watched it that much this year.
But when you've watched it, maybe you haven't seen a match that wasn't great, but you've never really watched it and say, hey, there wasn't at least a match on there that was all right at the minimum. Like, you've never watched that NXT show and been like, every match was bad.
Nah, I would never do that.
Yeah. And I think that's a similar thing that they have with AEW, is you never watched either of those shows and been like, okay, every match here was a bad match.
Nah.
You may not have great matches every week, but they are doing the similar thing to AEW, which is putting an effort to put on solid wrestling every week. The thing I would say some good things about NXT also is they have a women's division. Their women's division is the best division in all of NXT. Like going forward, Io Shirai should main event every takeover until further notice. Like it should not be Finn Balor. It should not be Johnny Gargano. It should not be the tag team champions. It should not be the cruiserweight champion. It should be Io Shirai because that's the best division in all of WWE is the NXT women's division. And the way you prove that is, yo man, they just had a banger of a match between Rhea Ripley and Raquel Gonzalez. Just off the rip. Like you can't really do that too much with any other division. Like, yeah, you can get a good match between Bronson Reed and Austin Theory, but it don't feel like, oh, okay, these two. Once you see those two wrestle, you're not like, oh man, they should put the belt on them. When I watched Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Gonzalez, I was like, okay, these are two world champion contenders right here.
Right.
So that's one thing I think is really good, and I think that's one thing we have to commend them on. The other thing I would commend them on is, how do I say this? They have committed to letting certain people lose matches in ways that I didn't think a WWE show would allow. For example, they let Kushida just beat Tommaso Ciampa. On TV, they let Velveteen Dream beat Finn Balor. On TV, they've let people just win. And they've sacrificed people. When Karrion Kross was getting over, they sacrificed Dijakovic. That is not something the main roster would do. In order to get over, Keith Lee is not going to just beat Randy Orton on television or Braun Strowman on television. He has to beat them at the pay-per-view event. Until then, it will just be like DQs or screwy finishes. Which I understand that ethos, but that becomes frustrating for certain people. So I do think I would say those are the things that are good about NXT for me. They are trying to put forth quality wrestling. They have a strong women's division, and they will allow, in order for someone to get over, they will allow a wrestler to be the more established and more popular wrestler who's hot. The negative things is clearly same thing with AEW. You got to start making stars. You got to have a tag team division. And another thing is, how do I put this? Stop having just random matches just because you need to, and just make them good so we're not distracted by that.
Right.
You can give us story. It doesn't have to be a lot, but you can give us a little story. But moving forward, now that we talked about those things, hey man, how long should Roman Reigns hold the title?
Yes.
Exactly.
As long as, because Dwayne calling. I'm telling you, Dwayne is calling. He might be calling Jimmy and Jay as well, because he was out there cutting that promo. It was Jay earlier, right? I get the twin thing confuses me. So he was cutting the promo for his life. I hate you. I hate you. I'm like, yo, he's trying to get it back to you. Like, oh, Rock calling you? I bet. I want to get a deal with Seven Productions as well.
Yeah. Oh, you're not doing that baller show. You got to do some TV show, bro.
Right. Can you put me in the new football show, Ballers, the revamp? I don't know.
Yeah. Can we star in Repos, the TV show?
Can we do that? Hell, we'll be some high school extras. Bring the smart guy.
Yeah, we'll do whatever we got to do. But man,
my knee can't take another. They can't take another injury.
Yeah, remember what I told you about SmackDown? SmackDown will be just fine the moment Roman Reigns comes back because he is Thanos.
What did
He
that do?
restored.
Bring
He
you
brought,
right back to me.
yep, it brought balance. It brought balance to SmackDown because you ain't got to try and like the Universal Champion storyline feels like one of the most important storylines. When Braun Strowman was there, nobody gave a damn about that title. Like,
Right.
be serious with yourself. When's the last time you gave a damn about the Universal title?
Shit, I don't recall the fact that shit. This time, remember how everybody kept treating the title like it was a Madden curse? He
I mean, it
finally broke the
was.
Madden curse.
Yeah, he did. You know how I know? Look, man. What? Finn Balor won it, got injured. Kevin Owens won it, nobody cared. Goldberg won it just to lose it to Lesnar. Lesnar held it for forever and then lost it to Roman.
That's not a curse. It made
No,
us realize it was a blessing because we missed Brock Lesnar, or at least I missed Brock Lesnar.
but it was boring for a while because, like, everyone was treating just the idea that you get the opportunity to face Brock Lesnar as a championship in itself. Well, if that's the case, why does Brock Lesnar need the championship?
It just shows that you can't beat him like title. You can't beat him as a whole, but you can't beat him for the title as well.
Yeah, but that, you know what I mean? Like the same way. So the rumor is Orton and Edge is supposed to happen at WrestleMania for the title.
God, no. All right. Sorry. I'm tired of seeing the Fiend. I don't want to see Randy Orton versus the Fiend. I don't want to see Randy Orton versus Edge. I don't want to see none of that shit, bro. Please, Brock
Yeah,
got to come back.
but any of that stuff would have been fine without the title. All of that stuff can happen without the title. And the thing I'm saying is, if you're making the idea of just facing Brock, because I remember when Ricochet had that match against Brock, and the argument was, well, just the fact that Ricochet is in the ring with Brock is a win in itself.
The man got buried. He ain't been the same since.
Yes. And if you're going to make just the idea of facing Brock a moral victory, then Brock doesn't need the title because what you're saying is just the opportunity to face him is like winning a Royal Rumble match or winning a number one contenders match. So just the idea of facing Brock is a championship thing. The real reason we gave Brock the title, to my feeling, is this is the UFC run he was supposed to have. And they also had to get that get CM Punk's record off the books. Now, but like I said, just going through the curse. After Brock loses the title, Roman has it. Roman, unfortunately, gets ill. That had nothing to do with the title. It's just bad timing because it happened to your champion. So they put it, we thinking, oh, okay, this is Braun's time. It's not Braun's time anymore. Goes to back to Brock. Then it goes to Seth, who we all wanted to go to. And then he loses it to the Fiend because the Fiend is the hottest thing and Vince has to capitalize right now. And that's something that kind of killed the Fiend's momentum in the sense that he lost it to Goldberg, then Strowman won it and nobody cared. And then the Fiend won it only for Roman to come back and restore order. That is the dude that restored order to that title.
Right.
We could say whatever we want. I know you're looking at Sasha Banks right now, but
I ain't even tweet.
I'm watching it too. I know.
Go to the office. I ain't even doing nothing.
I'm gonna need you to clock out for me.
The Lisa says, yeah, Mark. No, I was listening to what you're saying. I honestly just listened to what you're saying, and then that's when I convey my thoughts back. It's called respect, even though I was disrespectfully, respectfully looking at her on screen. Okay.
No.
All right. So I just
Yeah,
don't want to see my whole thing. I just don't want to see Randy Orton versus Edge. I don't want to see Randy Orton versus Fiend. I don't want to see Fiend no more. I don't like Alexa Bliss. I don't need to see neither one of them. I know they did this to appease the incels a little bit because they something because God knows they hate everything about WWE, but still watch and they still buy they fucking 3X shirts. I don't know. it's just I don't want to see it. Like there's no, like you said, there's no reason for them to have a title. But in this instance, maybe to get us to watch somehow.
Well, this is something I was also thinking about. So when you run down the names of champions who have won the WWE and Universal title in the past 4 or 5 years. So there was Roman Reigns, there was Braun Strowman, there was Bray Wyatt, there was Brock Lesnar, there was Goldberg, there was Kofi Kingston, there was Daniel Bryan, there was AJ Styles, there was Seth Rollins, there's Drew McIntyre. You had Jinder Mahal. You had Kevin Owens win the Universal title. Do you know the only two NXT, like modern era NXT champions that we can think of that have won a main title is Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre?
Really?
Yeah, and Finn Balor. Like, think about all the NXT champions that have come through. Neville came through, didn't win one. Andrade didn't win one. Ciampa and Gargano are still down there. Adam Cole is still down there. Bobby Roode didn't win one. Samoa Joe didn't win one. Shinsuke Nakamura has won every title but the main title. Like, Shinsuke is one title away from being a Grand Slam champion.
Right.
And they're just not going to do it. I don't think they're ever going to pull the trigger on him.
Nah, it's just funny how the Samoa Joe, even though he could talk, it's just funny how it's just like, all right, you just gonna do commentary. I think Vince or somebody or Bruce came up to him and was like, hey, you ain't gonna wrestle no more. Even though he has had a lot of injuries in the past couple of years, but I mean,
well, shit. So it's Sheamus.
Yeah, I don't even want to hear that dude's name. But in the case with Joe, AKA, no, I ain't gonna even say it's AKA that Scott Steiner say, even though it's just hilarious. It's all respect, but it's still hilarious. But with him, it's kind of like, all right, you just go. I know you had a lot of injuries and it's 20 plus years experience. He's more of a vet than Sheamus, but I feel like Sheamus is older than him. I might be mistaken. And who cares? Because Sheamus is trash. But besides that, it's just maybe this it's a second life for him, and it's fine because we don't. I would like to see Samoa Joe wrestle, but hell, I've been seeing it for almost years. In 2002, 2003, I've been watching him. The same with AJ Styles since they were in TNA. So, I mean, it's ran its course. I would have liked for him to get one title opportunity, or as far as like holding the title, but it's not necessary. In the case of somebody needing the title, it's been Hall of Famers that have went into the Hall of Fame without having the title run. So that's fine.
No, I get that. The thing I'm saying is WWE, and particularly like we always hear Vince say like, oh, you know, these stars got to work harder and they got to do more for us. Like, hey, man, what more do some of these people have to do in order to be looked at as championship material? Right. Because let's just keep it a buck. If you're not willing to work these Saudi shows, you're not going to be champion. Like Daniel Bryan basically said he ain't going to do no more. He ain't going to be champion no more. Kevin Owens don't want to do nothing no more. He ain't going to be champion again.
Right.
Like Aleister Black technically cannot. So he will never be champion. Sami Zayn, he can be Intercontinental champion right now because there's not going to be a Saudi show coming out.
Yeah, for the next couple of years.
Yeah. So he can be champion right now. But if you're not willing to do those Saudi shows, you're not going to be champion. Because those are the monies. Like you said before, that's the WrestleMania now. That's SummerSlam now.
Yeah. I mean, they still plan on the side note as far as like a live show. They still trying to have the show in Tampa next year. I mean, in a couple of months because in this case, if they do have Randy Orton versus Edge, yeah, give it for Tampa. give Florida that pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, give them that pain. You can have the match at Tampa. Just don't have The Rock versus Reigns in Tampa. Can we at least wait till 2022 22 if things get better. If, which I doubt, if things get better, please, we need that out here in LA.
Yeah,
Expeditiously, I need that out here in LA.
yeah. And I think we should close since we be getting all these slander off about companies in particular. I think we need to focus in on one particular thing when it's just like wrestler to wrestler. So Sasha Banks has won the title this past week in what has been seen as a banner year for both her, Bailey, and women's wrestling in general.
Yeah,
Because like with this pandemic, like I think people have come to realize that women's wrestling, particularly in the WWE, the women wrestlers are like all top 10. Like when you think of all the top tier talent, like how many people, like I'm gonna just name names. How many people are in the WWE are better than Sasha? How many people are better than Bailey? How many people are better than Charlotte or Asuka or Io Shirai? How many people are better than Bianca? How many people are better than Naomi? Like how many men's workers can you name better than them? You know what I mean? Anyway, all I mean by that is Sasha had. Well, sorry. Go ahead.
no,
What?
my fault. So what I was saying was, I said it earlier this summertime that I heard you during the summertime that when they had the whole Dose Bells thing going on, and I got the shirt I'm wearing right now as we speak. Shouts out to the WWE shop. You need to cut me a deal. But besides that, I said at that moment, the women have really held down, not just WWE, but pro wrestling as a whole this year. Like without
Absolutely.
Sasha Banks, Bailey, Asuka, Charlotte she's been for the past couple months, but it's not her and Becky as well. But without all four of them, man, pro wrestling would have been low key mid, if not trash this year, because they
Yeah.
was getting before New Japan came back and they got crowds. Fucking America, they got crowds now. Before
Yeah.
they came back, before when AEW was trying to figure it out, and then now ROH is back for all those that care, except for just me. So that's one more other person. So
Yeah.
they held it down. Like, nobody would admit that. That's why that PWI 100 list is bullshit, because it's like, you going to name 500 other dudes better than the women?
Yeah.
Like, really, bro?
And
You got to include that shit, because
and
top 10, most of them don't even need to be there.
yeah. And this is how cold Charlotte was this year. Before she got hurt, she was putting in work on all three shows. Like routinely. She would have a match on Raw, go do her thing on NXT, then come back on SmackDown to do stuff too. Bruh, they gave Sasha and Bailey the title so they can show up on all three shows.
Right.
Like, I don't think people really realize that. So it really hurt my heart when Booker T got out here in his feelings saying Sasha Banks rubs him the wrong way and he doesn't really like her that because of that. Now, look, man, I understand your personal feelings are your personal feelings. You can feel that way all you want. I'm not saying you can't like Sasha Banks. But, some things is for the house. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I'm letting you go before I speak on it, man, because you got
Yeah.
a history of doing this.
Yeah. Like, shout out to Dead Ass Girls podcast. They they're basically saying this is like it's always the mid card dudes that always got some shit to say about the up and coming talent. But when you see all the top tier people, they either show nothing but praise or they shut the fuck up. Like you ain't gonna ever
Right.
see Undertaker say anything bad about the women. You ain't seen Shawn Michaels say one thing bad about the women. You don't see Triple H saying nothing bad. You don't see The Rock or Stone Cold saying nothing bad. You don't see Mick Foley. Mick Foley be out here praising these women weekly.
Yep.
Like you won't see none of the guys who knew what it took to be a top tier talent saying anything bad about these women. But you will see these mid card dudes have all the shit to say. And it reminds me of all these dudes who complain that the WNBA women can't really ball, but none of them was good enough to be in the league.
Thank you.
Like, it's only the dudes that can't hoop that think the WNBA women are trash. And it's all the dudes who never got to main event status that think all these women are not as good as they think they are. And I'm here to say, look, man, whatever is going on between you and Sasha Banks personally, I can't speak on it. I can't speak on Sasha's personality. I've never met Sasha Banks. I don't know what interaction y'all have. But do not let that interfere with your professionality. Keep that stuff for the house.
All right. So let me speak on that for a second. The last part, I met her last Friday. She was cool. I've heard people say she got an attitude. I don't know. Maybe y'all just ain't approaching people right, particularly women. I don't like how people move with women anyway. So maybe that's the whole thing. Maybe y'all just moving like freaks. Just I've said it many times. Just be a regular person. Everything will be okay. Trust me. I'm from experience, for multiple reasons. Other than that, it's just let me say what's up, man. Let me give him respect for Booker T, and we not disrespecting him at all. Booker T has done a lot for black workers. Man, a lot of these black workers, the older dudes, is moving quiet. I mean, they moving wild, not quiet. Hell, I wish they would move quiet. They moving very loud and just being just wild with other people that look like them. So in the case of Mark Henry, he always has something bad to say about a male black worker. Like, fam, you supposed to be helping. They told he always saying they never asked for my help. Well, how we know? Because every time they seem to say that you say that, it's always a problem, as if you're not responding back properly, or you don't know how to talk to the younger guys, which can be a case because a lot of old heads be like, you listen to me because I'm older than you, I'm a vet. Motherfucker, I ain't gotta listen to you for shit. That respect that elder for y'all, bro. Unless you old, crippled, or something like that, I don't listen to you. That's besides the point. So with Booker, he has a history of just going black workers. Not Amber Moon, I guess, because she trained under him or she's associated with him. But the Naomi thing was weird. Like, she needs to work harder to get opportunity. Fam, she had the title like what? Twice? She a two-time women's champ.
Bro,
How much fucking?
legitimately, do you know? Okay, so the loudest moment in the Royal Rumble was when Edge came back, and that makes sense. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
no, you straight.
The loudest moment was when Edge came back. Do you know what the second loudest moment was?
When she came back.
Yes, it wasn't when Drew McIntyre won the Royal Rumble. It was when Naomi showed up. So the only person bigger than Naomi that night was the fact that a wrestler who hadn't wrestled in over 10 years came back. So had Edge not come back that night, Naomi would have been the biggest pop.
Right.
We sitting here saying, oh, she needs to work harder to get over with people.
That's other bullshit. That's a cop out. Like, what do you talking about, bro? She a former champ. Why does she need to work harder to get over? Obviously, she had the title, and they putting over Carmella, and she only had the title once. All she did was moonwalking where fucking hype beats Jordan. So what are we talking about? And then who else he said something about? He just had Bianca Belair. Didn't he say something about Bianca Belair isn't ready yet? He just the cop out with me seems to be they not ready. Fam, they professionals. Now, mind you, they can get better, but we talking about two grown ass women that's been doing this for a while. I mean, obviously Naomi has been in the for a decade now. Like, bro, they not 20-some-year-old women. These are 30, 31 and above year old women, being Naomi and Bianca. And then Sasha is a little bit younger, but still, she already a Hall of Famer. She's one of the greatest of all time. She made that crystal clear about a year or two ago that she's already the greatest of all time, or on the road to it. But this year solidified it. So It's like, what are you talking about? And then she's made history. Her and Bayley are the only two women to win both titles, World Championship and tag at the same time.
Yeah. But she's only one of 3 women to be Grand Slam champions.
Right. Asuka and Bayley's the other one.
Yeah.
So why you not attacking them? So what are you talking about? It's the attitude problem. And that goes back to what it says about black women. Oh, they got an attitude or whatever the case may be. It just puzzles me that a man that's of his age, but once again, just because you 50 or 40 and above, you an OG. We've seen that a lot this year because so-called OGs been putting their foot in their mouth. T.I. just said fucking warm milk cures COVID. I don't know what the fuck is going on with these old dudes. Maybe they got CTE or getting C now very young.
Well,
But
that dude trying to look like Eldridge Cleaver or someone, so I don't know what the fuck to say about T.I. at this point.
yeah, I have no idea. Then he had a rant going off about that made absolutely no sense. But that's besides the case. We talking wrestling, but it goes in the same, correlation of what I'm talking about. These just because you don't mean shit. What what the Magnificent said on the Boondocks, he said just because you live an old life won't mean to come to a short end. Like, dude, you can't just be out here berating black women. Like, bro, you don't berate these other women. I don't. And what's the point of it? Because if you try to put yourself over in this way, bro, you already working. You already on shows. You already did commentary before you was even bashing them. So,
Yeah.
are you trying to get a higher position in the company by doing that? And if you do that, you're gonna have a hard time because you know why? Actually, a woman is about to be some stake. The woman that used to work for Barstool Sports, I forgot her job title, but it's up there. You got Stephanie McMahon. So the women in general are the focal point of the business going forward, which you should do. Because a lot of these dudes ain't getting it in. These a lot of dudes out here being exposed for being nasty.
Yes, that's the thing that wiles out to me is like you didn't have the best interaction with Sasha Banks. Okay, that happens. I understand. But man's been quiet on Matt Riddle.
Thank you.
Man's been quiet on Velveteen. Man's been quiet on the whole speaking out movement in general when it comes to this. But I don't feel anybody should be given anything. Like, bruh, you are arguing for the company in favor of the company that did what they did to you at WrestleMania 19, where they let Triple H months up leading up to that call you a thug and a pickaninny and all so many different things.
Right. You're
And then
not qualified. What Triple A said to that man to his
yeah,
face?
yeah, you had to lose to you was the anti-affirmative action program, and Triple H pedigreed you, laid on the ground for damn near half a minute, and then pinned you.
And then just looked at you, bro.
Yeah, you friends with Hulk Hogan, who, when it was your time, like Vince Russo himself said this, when it was your time to be champion, Hulk Hogan pulled his pulled his contract thing, and he allowed himself to be put in the title, which they had to then ruin the whole pay-per-view just to make you champion
Right.
because your friend couldn't see that it was your time. But Sasha Banks, her attitude rubbed me the wrong way. Yeah, she's good and all that, but what's between me and Sasha is between me and Sasha. Bro, if that's between us, between you and them, why are you even talking about it on your show?
Right. It's like, bro, it's not. And the thing is, it's not even on his show. It's the show where they don't really bash people. Like, they do it for work. But this dude really just get on the platform in public and he'll start going off about black workers. In the case, like he's saying, with his show that he does on YouTube with the Naomi thing, it's like, bro, like, we asked you a question. We didn't need you to give a whole fucking soliloquy as to why it shouldn't happen. You was supposed to make a suggestion. You shouldn't. You out here acting like you the booker and saying as to why that wouldn't happen. Then it goes back now months later. It happened in 1 year. This year been so fucking long that he just been putting his foot in his mouth often, or the high kick in this instance.
But
and then he went on to talk about Sasha on public TV or nationwide TV, whatever the case. Talking smack comes on. So it's just like, bro, what's the point?
Yeah. And also, the other thing, like, I know you don't like him, but CM Punk made this point about him, which is like he's one of these.
Why everybody start? That's just funny. Everybody starting to figure that out now. I don't know. I be feel like I don't say it enough where people remember, but they don't remember.
Yeah, but even he made this point when he was going on WWE backstage. One of his things was, yeah, Booker T's cool, but he's one of these old guys who still likes to put themselves over, even at the expense of young guys. So it's always an angle. It's always trying to work. It's all this and that. And if this is just Booker T trying to work and keep himself relevant, bruh, you're Booker T. We love you. But stop pretending like these people ain't worth their thing. If they rubbed you the wrong way, okay, you go talk to Sasha and you figure that out between you and Sasha. Don't bring that to us.
Even if everything don't need to be said, man. That's the problem. And then he being a chatty patty right now.
Yeah. And even then, I don't even mind you talking about it. But like I said, some things need to stay in the house. So that's between you and your crew.
Right. Just say, I don't like her. All right. Why? You don't need to tell everybody, bruh. Especially when you got all these bloggers that say the same thing. You appease into the incels. That's what I'm saying. Because they say how she acts. And like I said, I go by how people treat me. Maybe she don't treat you well because you be saying goofy shit, particularly about black women workers.
Also, you got to think about this. If a black woman had a stank attitude in WWE, do you really think she would be getting over?
No, and it seems to be like most of the women workers, I said most in quotations, seem to be very positive. I hear nothing but good things about most of them, particularly the black workers. I have yet to hear anything bad about any of the black women workers having attitudes. Now let's cut to the men black workers. I haven't heard anything bad about. There's a lot of white workers in WWE that got bad attitudes,
but they allowed to have bad attitudes because they talented white dudes. I won't even say they mid. They're talented white dudes. If you ain't good enough to be in WWE, you were talented. Because hell, I said this right now. I told a homeboy this. Remember when Zack Ryder got let go?
Yeah.
Zack Ryder could have went anywhere except New Japan and won the main title. That's how good Zack Ryder is.
Right.
Zack Ryder was just not good enough to be the WWE champion. Now, so yeah, these black workers, I'm not saying they're not talented either, or they're not talented enough to be world champion. It's just we know the game. If they are back here having attitudes, it's different when a black person has an attitude. And it's even more different when a black woman has an attitude.
Right.
So when these black women out here and they rub you the wrong way because they proud of themselves. And the main reason you don't like Sasha Banks is because when you asked her where does she rank herself, and she says I'm number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, nigga, she quoting KRS-One, and you mad.
Thank you. And you old enough to definitely remember KRS-One.
Yes. If I remember it, you remember it.
It's supposed to be, well, even though we know it's a work, it's competitive to a certain extent. You supposed to say that.
Yeah.
That's the problem. It's just like it's other black people that down black, not all of them, because I'm trying to be out here. My coonship is not activated. So let me be clear. When Floyd is going over, people want to bring up everything else except for boxing. I understand everything that has been said about him as a Floyd Mayweather fan in the ring. Yes. Y'all never talk about the in-ring talent. If the person, and this is the same thing, it's the wrestling ring and the boxing ring, still in the ring. Yes. But in the ring, talk about that. What she does is basically a work. She's doing the same thing she's supposed to do as a professional. I don't understand why you're not praising her for doing her job. But she's on time. She ain't bothering people. She doing what she need to do. That you need to praise her.
Now, I will say, whatever y'all think Sasha did, it is not nearly as bad as what Floyd Mayweather did. Like, let's just be clear about that.
And that's what I'm saying. I said, let's be clear, because I don't want. We know what's up. I'm talking about in the ring. You know what I mean? Like, even though your personal life can't affect you, it's still the same thing. The Floyd thing is like we want to boo him because
Like
of this and this and this, but you supposed to boo him if he wasn't doing his job.
well, I do this with other people too. Like I bring up Nia Jax, and if you want to talk about her being not a safe worker, okay, she's clearly gotten better because you haven't heard any. She's put Lana through a table 6 times now, and Lana has not showed up injured. Nia's gotten a little bit better, but they wanted to talk about her being a bully or a diva on Twitter or something like that. But when I bring up Matt Riddle's uh, outside the ring indiscretions, or Velveteen Dream's outside the ring indiscretions, or the fact that people like Excalibur was out there using the N word or this and that, then they want to stick to wrestling.
Thank you.
But
But
look, man,
it's always a cop out. You know what I mean? Like,
but Sasha
it's
was on the New Day podcast and she explained why she says this. And she said, I think everyone should feel this way. She was like, I wouldn't have a problem if Bayley or Charlotte said it. I wouldn't have a problem if Becky said it. She was standing there in the New Day. She was like, if all of you said you were the best, none of you would be upset that the fact that the other one was calling himself the best. The only time people get upset is when they feel like you have to humble yourself in a way that you don't feel like. And like I said, if an old head out here can't respect that the young people create quoting KRS-One, whether they know it or not, then this is why Lil Wayne is endorsing Trump.
right.
Because you old heads can't sit up here and get with the young folks. Let the young folks cook. If they messing up on the way, pull them to the side, be respectful, be kind, and say, look, I see you guys doing your thing, this and that. If there's anything I can do for you, please let me know. And if they say, no, I got it, okay, you got it.
Right.
I'm a fan of your work. I wish you nothing but the best. If they got a question, swing and answer the question. And I understand sometimes you got to check someone and be like, hey, young fella, you don't need to do that. I get that too. But this ain't one of those situations where you need to check Sasha.
Yeah, for something this minuscule, it's like, dude, we going off your word. How we know?
Yeah.
And why do we care? Man, just do your job. Like, for the most part, I think that's the problem. Like, people want to go based on what he say, what she say. Man, like I said, I go off your character and how you treated me, bro. I see it's entertainment. I just want to see the woman doing a job, and she doing a hell of a job. So what's this other shit? It's something personal, once again, that you said that he needs to address, under, so to speak, like undercover, that we don't need to know. Like, if he didn't say shit, we didn't need to know. You know what I mean? We wouldn't know. That's how life works. If you don't say shit, we don't know shit.
Yeah. Just because you're thinking it, don't mean you have to tell us what you're thinking.
Hey, man, I need to pull my quote up. Sometimes it's just cool to shut the fuck up.
And on that note, we out of here.